paper magic will survive like the heat death of the universe, and will...
Oh, it's a smuggler's copter. Would you like to crew this? And then it crashes because they don't understand arithmetic.
All your cards belong to me.
2 minutes into macing him in the eyeballs, I switched to pepper spray. He's like, it's all right, refreshing. And went back to the mace.
Magic is dying. I'm done. Selling everything.
I might be a hoarder. And yes,
I don't have the crayons or glue to explain this to you right now.
What, are you gonna die twice?
Oil will be worthless before magic cards will.
well, okay, Dr. Man.
That's Mr. Dr. Professor Jason.
Fuzzy is one way to put that, yeah.
It was
That's
a
how
moss
you know-
monster.
Look, someone opened it. Someone opened that card in the warehouse, and they were like, well, are we putting these in boosters? And they said to themselves, somebody out there will open this moss-covered science experiment of a Legends card.
Was that intended for me? Was that card supposed to go to me?
It was
For your-
DJ's. Yeah.
You can't play that in Gonti.
It was supposed to be somebody else's Gonti. They were really giving a chance. But look, it was that. This was a limited supply sort of thing here, okay? Have you heard the words reserved list before? They couldn't just go make more moss monsters to throw in those packs, okay? There was that destroyed science experiment of a magic card or nothing. And you know what? I want that. And that's why I bought
This is
collector
better than
boosters.
last time where they bought cards off the secondary market, because it's like, you could win a Black Lotus, and my buddy's like, I got an HP signed beta Swords to Plowshares.
That's way cooler.
Kinda, yeah, right? Like, that
Yeah,
that
kinda.
card has got a story, and then it came all the way around and ended back up in a Zendikar box. That's pretty nuts, man.
I agree with that. I think that is pretty cool. Right? Just in a conceptual level.
I did not open I cannot remember the last time I opened a booster pack of Magic the Gathering cards.
What's
DJ,
it like to have no joy in your life?
exactly. DJ, walk into a store, find out that you can spend $100 on a single pack of Magic cards. And then do that. And then do that and see how you feel.
I got these in a collection last week. Does that count for a $100 booster pack?
What are these?
These are fossil Pokemon packs.
You're
that
a
is
fossil.
cool. That is cool.
We talked about those last week.
Yeah.
I'm a fossil.
You heard me.
Between me and Jason.
Jason's the fossil.
Okay.
You look like you shop at Fossil.
Are those
What?
glasses?
Don't they make leather?
I think so. I think it's like an anthropology type thing, but less bougie.
I have a Fossil wallet, so I assume that it's leather. I'd hate if I was actually carrying my money and credit cards around in a pair of eyeglasses.
Well, welcome into the show, everybody. As you can tell, we obviously have a lot of experience with Dominaria United. I did some pre-release events on Arena. I crafted my Vidalian Hex Catcher. I ordered my Vidalian Hex Catchers in paper as well. So, you know what?
Can we
It's a good
talk
time.
about why the pre-release should just not be a thing anymore?
I would love to hear this hot take, DJ. Go ahead.
I don't think it's a hot take. I think that the concept of a pre-release was very cool 10 or 15 years ago, before Arena existed and before they had 19 different rules for like when cards are legal and what people can buy at LGSs and what people can't buy at LGSs. Like the release for Dominaria is like 3 days from now, and people have been playing with the set for like a week and a half or something.
Yeah, for full disclosure, this podcast will come out. Let me get this right here.
The podcast will come out a day after the Dominaria.
Yeah, this podcast will come out on September 9th, and the set released on Arena on August 30th. To your point.
Yeah, like, I mean, the pre-release as a concept has been a couple different things over the past 30 years, or however long they've been around. It was regional. There was a time back when it was like, oh, there was one pre-release within 200 miles, and that was like the big event every 3 months. Nobody knew what the cards were. You were opening stuff up and reading it for the first time, and it was like a whole big, large game store GP Grand Prix style thing.
Yeah.
And
A lot of people may not know that. That's how they used to be done.
Yeah, and then they were localized to individual game stores the way they are today. But it was still had that special, like, nobody's drafted these yet, nobody's played the cards before. you had to play with them and then do like do you know what a set review is for the Zoomers out there? Set reviews used to be a thing. That was people would review the set after they played with the cards at the pre-release, and then the set would release, and then you could buy your cards, and then the good players would play with the cards, and then there were actual tournaments about them. But like the Dominaria United releasing in giant air quotes half a month after people have been playing with the cards, it just feels diminished. Like, why can't we just have the set release on the day of the I'm not saying push the pre-release back or like accident time. I'm saying like move it all up so it aligns at the same time.
Yeah, or at least something where like put this set out on Monday, maybe, right? Like, but this is just, I can tell you that inside the building, the Wizards of the Coast, or outside the building based on where these teams are, there's a lot of push and pull over who gets priority. Because it makes a difference to the bottom line of Arena if they get it a week before everyone
events
else.
Too. It's like I'm not the one that like thought up this idea. By the way, this is actually Brian David Marshall tweeted about this like 2 years ago. Oh my god, it was like 3 years ago, I think. But the point is that like I just agree with it wholeheartedly, and it's been a thing since Arena was a baby 3 years ago. And I think we should just do away with the pre-release and just make everything release on the same day and make a whole big weekend of it. Like it used to be, this is the pre-release weekend. This is crazy Magic.
Pre-release weekend used to be nuts, man. It was like each state had one huge tournament.
Well, look, I'll put it this way.
It was like an event, and then they're like, what if we saved the LGSs by putting the pre-release in the LGS and then putting a bunch of things?
It also wasn't.
Required.
It was intimidating to go to some of those large events for people who, if you think about your pre-release crowd, it's typically very casual people.
Right. So like make the release weekend just one big giant release weekend. Make it like a GP stuff. Like doesn't have to be at like one store. It could just be all around local game store. I don't care. Just make the entire thing like a release weekend.
I think the odds we see that is very low for a lot of reasons.
People don't like to go places and do things.
Well, like, should happen is a very subjective thing, because I think if WotC cares about one group of people in the world, and it's their shareholders. Like, realistically, you break it all down, like, they care about the players or whatever, but that's because the players pay money to pay their shareholders. Yes. And to the shareholders, a week of influencer marketing time is worth so much more than it ever has been. So, like, giving the streamers the early access events, giving the people who are content creators the stuff early has a ton of value. And, like, also, WotC has to consider the LGSs, because those are their base level distributors. And if you take away pre-releases from LGSs, a lot of the less efficiently run ones are going to take a pretty huge hit. Like, that is a huge portion of their quarterly income. I'm
not saying you have to just cut the LGS pre-release. You could still do the streamer early access events, and you could still do pre-releases at an LGS, but just make the set release the same weekend as the pre-release.
Right, but like, if you release on Arena on the same day that you release on pre-releases, you're going to be cannibalizing your player base. And that's something that you can't do to LGS, and that's something that WotC shareholders don't want to do for their bottom line.
Well, and like I said, more like, and to that point, inside the building, different teams want different things, which affects their bottom lines, meaning their department budgets.
Corbin, you do not have to convince me that Wizards departments do not talk to each other.
I'm with you. It's just it's been a back and forth, right? They've tried a couple different release timings since Arena first came out, and I think you're all right. It's going to continue to kind of be a pain point. It also contributes with sets coming out all the time. The release schedule for Arena is different than the release schedule for Magic Online. It's different than the release schedule for Paper, and it all definitely lends to the air of I have no idea what's going on.
I'm just picturing like camping out at an LGS for 3 days straight, and like in between sealed matches, I'm like opening and playing the set on my phone while waiting for a Paper round to fire. Like that's
there's lots of ways you can do it.
That's what I want out of like a release weekend.
You want to play like Poker on your phone while you play craps at the casino.
Yes, exactly. But turn it into like a Magic event.
Return to Ravnica, we went to like 6 pre-release events in that weekend. That was pretty cool.
Oh, my LGS
like,
has an Iron Man.
Oh, I can't do that shit anymore. Yeah.
My LGS has an Iron Man where you get a $5 discount on each event if you play 6 in a row without stopping.
Hell yeah. That's a good marketing. That's good. And that's fun. If you look, when I was in
then
college,
your heart explodes in your LGS.
I did it once, and I think that's how most people do it, but I did it once.
Sure.
And it was
you know who should go
worth it.
24 hours without sleeping? People who eat Hot Pockets and sit at a table.
Chug
for
Mountain Dew
their
and
hobby.
Volt. Yeah.
Definitely.
Look, I think that would have been fun. I used to do the midnight pre-release, hit up the noon pre-release, do the afternoon pre-release. It was fun. I could see myself doing the 6 if that was a thing.
We
Back
used
then
to
in
go
college,
to
not
F&M,
now.
go to the
Yeah.
bar, go to the midnight pre-release. That was a cool way to do it, too.
Well, look, on the subject of last note here, I did the Flesh and Blood world premiere for Uprising, one of their most recent set, and they did it in the style of old school pre-releases. There were a couple dozen previews, including one that I had, and then that's it. The other cards you found out when you opened them in Las Vegas at the world premiere of the tournament. And I would say that gimmick worked pretty well. People obviously had a great time. Now, Wizards has so many problems with leaks and so on, but I wouldn't be surprised if something like that comes back. I mean, they want to do convention exclusive things to make the experience worthwhile for people. So whether it's a pre-release or something else, they're going to continue to see more of the mystery boosters, convention packs type things.
The convention mystery booster event in Richmond, like the inaugural one, was the most interesting thing I've done in Magic in the last decade.
Yeah.
I remember sitting at that table, like I think it was Gavin was like on the microphone talking about what the set is and what the goals for it were. And I open up my first pack and I have like a Basking Root Walla and a Mana Crypt, and the guy next to me is like, I got a Teferi. And just like the buzz in the hall was electric. Like I've never seen anything like that before.
You got a Basking Root Walla?
I did. Actually, the image for mystery boosters on Wikipedia is the picture I tweeted of Basking Root Walla and Mana Crypt together.
That's excellent.
Ooh.
I remember working that event, and we were like yelling across the booth, telling each other what cards not to buy because we were all finding out what cards were in the set at the same time. Like, just don't buy Recruiter of the Guard anymore. It's in the set. Oh, wait, don't buy Weathered Wayfarer. It's in the set. And, like, all of us have 6 Reddit tabs open on each of our laptops with, like, the number crunch and trying to figure out what hasn't been reprinted so we can increase our buy price. It was insane.
I remember the look on a Japanese vendor's face when he realized there was over 1,000 cards in the set.
1649 or something like that.
Yeah, and he just, like, looked up at me and said, "What did you say?"
Well,
and then turned around and started talking in Japanese to his coworker.
That was a great event for everyone there. I was on the other side of the hall doing the Pro Tour, and we were trying to get our hands on some as well. It was a ton of fun for everyone there, and then less fun for everyone not there. And I know that before the pandemic, that's something they were pushing towards, and now, as I think we'll see how Magic 30 goes, but I think it very much might be the blueprint for what they want to do for the tournaments that are not handled by completely handled by an outside third party like DreamHack. But yeah, all right, let's move on here and knock out our first segment of the night. It is
send Jason a beer. This beer I'm drinking tonight, this Duchess de Bourgogne from the brewery Verhaeghe in Belgium, was sent to me by a friend of the cast, Joey D. Delicious. Watch Joey D stream Death and Stuff on Twitch every Monday and Wednesday. He's doing it so you don't have to play Arena on Twitch. And just find out where he lives and send him gifts. He would love that. He'd be like, people know my address. I'm moving. That'd be fun too. He didn't tell me anything specific to plug, but he did give me a beer, and I felt like I should plug him on the cast, which means if you send me a beer, I'll plug you or your channel or your business or whatever. All you have to do is send me a beer, and I will give you free advertising. I don't know why people don't trust that, but like literally I'm just selling ad space on this cast for the cheapest amount of money possible.
Yes, I would say
and more people should take me up on it.
I had a doctor's appointment last week, and I wore the Brainstorm Brewery shirt, the one that Jason's wearing right now, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Coalesce, baby!
one of the nurses was like, "Oh, is that a real brewery?" And I said, "Yes." And then I gave them Corbin's home address.
Perfect.
Love it. I'm fine with this, by the way. Completely.
I was like, "Yeah, it's
fine
out in
with this.
Oklahoma. I travel a lot for work, and yeah."
Nice.
What would
All right.
Brainstorm Brew be? It would just be like a magic card floating in floodwater. Different flavors. It's like it's a Red Bull and Parallel Lives or something like that. There was a minute there where Jace the Mind Sculptors were more than their weight in like gold, and I said that we should have Jace Schlager instead of Gold Schlager if you're a real baller.
Sure.
Wouldn't you
flex
drink
little
a
flex of
refreshing
Jace.
bottle of
Yeah.
Jace Schlager? I would.
Little bits of Jace in there with the alcohol.
Yeah.
You
That
might get
sounds. Why does that sound like an Ortolan like food?
Soylent Green,
To
baby.
cover your eyes, to hide your
This bird
sin.
was drowned in Jace Schlager.
Like, it doesn't taste good, but you just do like a flip it or rip it mana crypt and hold your nose while you like chug the.
Oof. All right,
Some
let's move on to.
That's like the
Breaking Ball.
fourth time Ortolans have come up on this cast in the last 6 months. I'm glad I taught you guys a thing.
I ordered that from Hannibal, I think.
If it wasn't Hannibal, it was either Billions or Succession because they both did it this year. It was really random. I learned
very
about
in vogue.
Ortolan from like either a Cracked article or a G.I. Joe comic book from like 2011. It was the two guys, the Xander and Redank or whatever.
Hey, I am always down to learn random facts like that. I love being one of today's 10,000. It's excellent.
It's not really a fact. It's just like, well, they used to eat a bird, and then France is like, don't eat a bird like this, and so you gotta know a guy now. Oh, so by the way, we've mentioned the Wife Cast. We recorded some bonus content for our patrons. If you go to patreon.com/BSB and give us $20 a month, which is as little as $4 or $5 an episode. Are we doing 20? We might.
No, I said we're giving out the Wife Cast to everyone. I'm Costco hot dogging the Wife
Oh,
Cast.
we're okay. Cool.
It is true. That was a timely.
And you know what?
discussion to
I
have.
think with the after hours, especially with Cass here, you're gonna get enough value for your $20 a month at patreon.com/BSB. There's all kind of bonus content, but something we're gonna give to everybody is the cast with the three of us had our wives on and they made fun of us for an hour and it was a good time. And that's the kind of thing we're kind of just gonna roll out more bonus content because we passed 500 episodes. We figured rather than do a big episode 500 bonanza or whatever that was going to be like really stressful to plan, the pandemic has given us all mush brains so bad that it's just like, what if we just gave everybody a bunch more bonus content?
Oh.
If you were somebody who is a patron but isn't at the $20 level and you hear the Wife Cast and you want to hear some more stuff like that, the after hours is something you get at that $20 level, and we think that it's the best value in MTG Finance.
I know people don't want to hear about like how the Costco sausage gets made, but behind the scenes there was actually a discussion. We flipped a coin on whether to just like make the Wife Cast or just cancel the entire podcast.
Yeah.
And
We lost the coin flip, so we're still
Darn
going.
it.
That's exactly how I would describe it. As
We
well.
lost the flip.
Corbin, what have you been doing the past 15 minutes? You've just been staring at your other monitor. Silently.
He's clicking cookies, baby. I know he is. Admit it. You're clicking cookies, bud.
Some cookies.
Yeah, he's clicking cookies.
I was
That's
on
what I'm
Reddit.
doing, so.
I was on Reddit looking for something else.
The cookies are not going to click themselves.
Can we break some bulk?
They do eventually.
I have a
Yeah,
Corbin
fine.
pick.
Fine.
I have a
I have a
Corbin
really
pick.
good one.
Breaking bulk time. Breaking bulk time. Break.
Oh, yeah, Breaking Bulk. There's so much good stuff.
It's a pick. Breaking bulk. The end.
I have a Corbin Hostler special. Corbin, you're the best person to play this game, right?
Is it from Dominaria United?
No, it's actually
I thought
That's a
about
Corbin
that.
Hostler pick.
I thought about that.
It's actually from Streets of New Capenna, okay?
It's from Scars of Mirrodin.
Scars?
Also known as Scars of Merodin, also known as Scares of Myrodin.
Scourge of Mirrodin.
Yeah, go on.
It is a blue uncommon.
Viral Drake.
No,
No,
that's from
Viral Drake is
Phyrexia.
from New Phyrexia, you idiot. Is
I'm
it
trying to figure out
the
why
changed
this
power and toughness, the twisted
Twisted
image?
Image.
It is Twisted Image.
That used to be a
Ivy.
Spell Sky killer. Yeah.
I
Ivy.
called this a Corbin pick because it's a nickel, and Corbin picks nickels because he's in a tight spot right now. So this was reprinted once in Masters 25.
Is it really a nickel?
It is a CK nickel, buddy.
That is so sad.
This card used to be like $1. It was a great
What
card.
the
to
hell,
find.
dude? Spell Sky used to be $20.
This was for
And
those
this card
boomers
was
out there.
yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
For those shopping for their New Balances while listening to this podcast, this used to be a $1 card that killed Birds of Paradise on turn 1.
Yeah,
Yep.
and then it got printed in Masters 25.
Yep.
That's why it's
that-
not $1.
I mean,
And also,
that-
Spell
that
Sky
printing-
became unplayable.
Yeah, that printing isn't what killed the card. The fact that the card didn't like do anything to any meta creature anymore is what kind of killed the card.
I think a great analog of that actually is Deprive from Rise of the Eldrazi. When Mystic Sanctuary was legal, that card like was $1 or $2, and foils were like $20.
Yep.
And they banned Mystic Sanctuary, and now Deprives are like, I think one foil is sold for $4 in the last 6 months.
And they printed Counterspell, right? So it's like,
Yeah.
why would you ever touch
Orvar,
Deprive?
Ivy, Rona. That's why Twisted Images, I don't know, pick them out of your bulk. They're going to go up. That 3 new decks in like the past year. That
Yeah,
make
it would
very
be
good
interesting
use
to
of a
me if that
like
card goes up.
Anything that's a cantrip.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, this killed birds. It killed Spellskites,
Yeah.
and for what it's worth, Spellskite's almost coming back around in Modern because Modern's so weird and different than it used to be these days. But yeah, that's
You can make
that's a nice
termites
throwback
trade
card.
with this card.
Good throwback. one
My
right
story about this card is I have killed somebody in Standard with it.
there. Nice.
So
played
I
quite
used
a
You
bit of
played on
Standard.
Precursor Golem?
I played Standard Bant Birthing Pod with like Viridian Emissary, Solemn Simulacrum,
Hell
and
yeah.
Scabrunator. I played Razor Hypnogryph, and I'm not going to tell you what that card does.
Oh, I know that card.
I know what that card does.
I knew
Yeah.
Castwood. But this was a sideboard card. And I potted up to my 7 was Elish Norn, and I attacked, and they didn't block Elish Norn, and I swapped her to a 7 power and killed somebody.
Yeah, that's pretty nice.
Boom.
Yeah.
I was using this with Precursor Golem. Like, cantrips are very funny with that card.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. That was a good one, DJ.
I actually have an Ivy pick as well, and this card is from the new
Ivy
Kamigawa
pick?
Oh,
set. Yeah,
did you-
it's based on Ivy Gleeful Spell Thief.
Oh.
Not your bull spam the X button playing.
If you
Whatever
steal
that
my
game is.
pick right now, I'm gonna kick.
Oh, please do. It's a green common. Am I stealing your pick right now, Cass? Ah!
This card is legacy playable.
Oh, this card's so good. Okay, this is a $1.50 on Card Kingdom. It's a common for a green common from Cyberpunk 2077. It's played in Ivy decks.
F6.
Huh?
a green common from Kamigawa.
Yeah.
Neon Dynasty.
Yeah. I drafted a ton of that set.
Cassie, do you need a backup pick?
No, oh no, I'm not making one now. I refuse.
Wow, you're co-signing this one, so you know it's a good breaking ball.
That's- That's some good energy.
We didn't talk about this, but Tameo's safekeeping.
Foils are like $5.
Yeah,
That card's good.
this card's busted.
It counters Wasteland and Swords to Plowshares in the Dark Depths decks.
I've cast myself one or two of these before in limited, but now that you say it, it makes sense. I know I had seen it in sort of the type of creature centric decks that would want it. I hadn't even considered applications past protecting a Boggle or whatever.
How is this card so good when, like, it says to keep the reality chip out of Gijinga Taxius' hands, the Wanderer entrusted it to Tamio. Spoiler alert, Tamio, that didn't work.
Yeah, it
So,
didn't
like,
work. Agreed.
Tamio's safekeeping should just be a blank piece of text because, like, Tamio can't safekeep
I kind of got to agree with DJ.
I like
on
how
this
you say
one.
Tamio, because when people say Tamio, it reminds me of Cameo, and then I get the song Word Up stuck in my head.
And then you think about the time we bought a cameo of Mighty Ducks.
Yeah, we got Marguerite Moreau from the Mighty Ducks to do a cameo. And
JJ,
then
play that clip. Drop it in.
Hi, this is Connie from the Mighty Ducks, and you're listening to the Brainstorm Brewery, which is not actually a real brewery.
Boom! Drop that
still
We
have
clip.
the
paid so much money for that clip.
Do we still have the rights to that?
Of course we have the rights to that. What is she gonna do? Come on in after, get on YouTube and say, I'm Marguerite Monroe and I don't approve this message anymore.
It's Morrow, not Monroe.
Whatever, dude.
I mean, honestly, Jason wins in either situation with that because he gets to hear her voice again, and that's all.
Oh my god, yeah, if she was mad at me, ooh.
All right, I'm gonna follow up here. I have a multicolored uncommon from Core Set 2021, which is very much a Corbin pick.
Poison
It's
Tip
a recent
Archer.
one.
It's Corpse Knight.
Neither of those.
The 2/3 Corpse Knight. It's not Poison Tip Archer. I'm okay. Well, there's a cycle, so I'll just name all.
You're
10.
talking about the wrong set, so there's that. M21 was the Shrine set with all the shrines.
Oh, the Shrine set, huh?
Mhm.
A multicolor. Which colors?
Is it the really cool looking vampire? I don't know the name of it.
I think DJ gets credit for that.
It's the.
The art is like really sick.
I think DJ gets credit.
Is it the blood
because
artist?
He would pick it from bulk because he recognizes the art, same as the rest of us. It is.
I mean, yeah, that's how I pick too.
Yeah, it is indulging patrician. It is a 1/4 flyer for 3, 1 white and a black, flying lifelink at the beginning of your end step. If you gain 3 more life this turn, each opponent loses 3 life.
Yeah,
It's
I did see one of these recently. I don't remember why I saw it, but I remember seeing it, and I was like, this card came out a year ago, and the art is sick, and I've never seen this card before. So I saw one of these last week.
There you go. And it's worth money. It's worth 75 cents to $1. So it's one of the more, it's one of the...
Jason, would you
cards
want
you
this
actually
vampire to be mean to you?
I would have to invite it in to be mean to me. So
I have a breaking bulk. I came up with another one.
Let's hear it, Cass.
JJ, please be surgical with this episode.
It is a green Dominaria United common.
You. This set hasn't released yet.
Yeah, but people have had days to play with it.
Yeah. Oh, it's been out for like a month and a half now, DJ.
It's a common.
I think it's a common. Let me double check.
I don't know what's it. I don't have any.
You don't even know?
I don't have any idea what this could be. Come on.
I don't remember.
Is it a saga?
What? How do I tell what rarity it is on here? It's a common. Forgot that there's rarity symbols on the cards. It's a creature.
Is it the Death Toucher?
It's Moss Monster.
Ah!
Next segment. Let's go.
Hey, listen, if Moss Monster isn't in this set, then I shouldn't have had to eat that spicy gummy bear.
Remember, all of those breaking bulk picks, including, I suppose, Moss Monsters, you can find at mtgstocks.com, the generous sponsor of this podcast, the place we go to make all of our picks, the place where you can see price graphs for every card in Magic going back a decade. You can subscribe to the premium side of the site. We highly recommend looking into MTG Stocks Premium. You can set up alerts. You can track anything and everything you could possibly want and be up to date on the latest price movements on any cards in Magic. So check out MTG Stocks Premium. We want to thank them, as always, for sponsoring this podcast. We went to them because we use them so much. That's the best praise I think we can give. Now we're going to move on to a subject where I suspect the three of you will have nothing but praise, and that is Lorecana, the new Disney trading card game coming to a store near you to compete with Magic the Gathering,
That's perfect.
Pokemon, and then they forgot that Yu-Gi-Oh! Was a game, so they didn't even mention it.
They didn't even mention Yu-Gi-Oh!
You could have said Lorecana, and I would have asked what the new commander did.
Yeah, I know, right?
So my take on this is to grow a game as big as Magic, Pokemon, or Yu-Gi-Oh! You're going to need the fan community to do the cosplay and all that kind of stuff. So it's going to be really interesting to see how cosplay is handled by a company that sues orphanages for painting Mickey Mouse on a wall. Like, they literally did that. Hanna-Barbera's like, you can put Yogi Bear on the wall. Jesus Christ, the kids are crying. Like, Disney's lawyers are ruthless. I think the only thing that happens with Lorecana is it comes out for a year, it goes away, and then Watsy's like, we could sue fan creators, and then all of us are in trouble.
I see shades of eBay here. eBay made a commitment over the past year or two to try to up their, like, trading card section of their website when Pokemon blew up, blah, blah, blah. They found out that while they weren't paying attention, TCG Player had taken over the industry. I just think Disney's going to come in. They're going to try their little Lorecana game. It's going to fail. The cards might be worth money in 10 years because of Disney. Who knows? But I also don't have hopes for this as like a Pokemon competitor here. And then they're going to say, well, that didn't work. On to plan B, which is buy Hasbro.
Disney already has a good card game. It's that Insidious or whatever, the one where you play like as a Disney villain. It's not a collectible card game, but like...
Is that like a mobile thing? Like a mobile?
No, it's a board game.
Oh.
Where you pick a Disney villain, you have a deck, and you like have win condition. It's a lot like the game Root with Disney characters. It's a lot of fun.
I know I'll be hitting up Disney looking for a little coverage aspect. I'll learn some Lorecana.
One of the things I think really is being discounted here is how much money Disney people are willing to spend. Like, they are not price sensitive at all. There are people who literally paid $5,000 for like a 2.5, 3 day thing where you got to pretend to be an Imperial officer and like harass some citizens.
Yeah.
Like, Disney people will spend any amount of money to try and connect with their children who hate them.
Or in a childhood that's long dead, but yes.
Yeah.
Am I allowed to admit that my parents took me to Disney when I was 14 and it was like fine because it's still a pretty good amusement park?
Disney rocks.
The problem with Disney is the Disney people, as I think we can all...
I mean, that's the problem with Magic too, right?
Exactly, yeah, exactly. Magic's a pretty cool game.
It's mostly 42-year-old women in big sweatshirts that say that their dog is their fur baby. That's Disney people.
Well, so, that's why I said
I don't think they're going to be big on a TCG.
I'm not saying that the first run of boxes of cards from the will like you said, it might even be worth money. Like, we've gone into bus finance
I'm buying
here
boxes
before.
Of this shit for sure.
Like, Disney has a whole market that has nothing to do with this card game that this card game can profit off of. I just don't see. I don't know. Like, when you say we're going to compete with Magic, like. That's a little different than, like, we want to have a Pokemon-centric game for kids to learn, you know?
But it's not a game.
They're coming out swinging.
No,
Pokemon's barely a game.
Yeah.
Pokemon is a lifestyle.
But seriously, it legitimately is, and so is Disney. And, like, Disney could pump out 4 sets a year for the next 20 years, and all of them will sell out because, like, there's going to be some 42-year-old woman in a big sweater with a fur baby who's like, I have to get the new ultra-rare Goofy. Because I collect ultra-rare Goofies. Are any of you on the Pokemon Facebook groups?
A little bit.
Yeah. It is just people collecting in the most weird cross-sections of collectibles possible. Like, there's a guy who only collects Pokemon that I think it was like gym trainers used on the TV show. And he owns all of them. And whenever one shows up on the show, he buys them. And I think like, if you just pretend that Lorecana doesn't have rules... and think of it as a competitor strictly in, like, a market share sense, not in a cultural sense, like, I think it's going to crush.
Well, that's why, like I said, I think it's interesting. They have a lot of angles that the marketing, at least, and, you know, maybe it was just how we also have the same headline that says Disney's competing in a card game to compete with Magic the Gathering, right? And that probably hits a little different than another interpretation of that news, right? Which is, what do you look at it in it? We're releasing cards to immortalize all of your favorite characters, and you can play a game with them too. You know, it's a very different vibe there than you get from we're going to compete with Magic the Gathering. You start thinking about, you know, competitive play and things like that. But
I mean, they're going to compete with Magic the Gathering in pandering. Magic's like, hey, we're going to release like a pretty terrible set, but it's pretty D&D-ish, and everyone goes, all right, fine. I guess the original art for Tiamat will sell for $150,000, like, to someone who's never played Magic, and that's success. So, like, if Disney's competing with that aspect of Magic, where it's just like, we're gonna do Warhammer decks, and I'm like, oh, that's dumb. And then, you know, my brother-in-law who plays Warhammer is like, oh, I'm going to buy those. Like, maybe Lorecana can just do that.
Yeah, I mean...
Like they're trying to do with the secret layers and the crossover shit. Maybe it's just like, no, even if no one ever plays Lorecana, Disney doesn't care if people buy the game or play the game. They care if people buy the cards.
Sports cards,
yeah, they're sports cards.
Yeah.
Like I went up to visit family last week, and my mom's entire side of the family is very country bumpkin, middle of nowhere, doesn't interact with internet or media at all. And every time I had the conversation about what my job is, all of them were like, "Oh, like the Mickey Mantle card that sold last week for $12 million." Like that's the
Just
intersection
like
that this Disney game will have.
Yeah.
And like those kinds of people will hear about it and they'll buy it. It doesn't have rules text on it. It's just a piece of artwork in a tiny little square.
Yep.
And that's fine.
They also have the opportunity to do some really good forced scarcity stuff. There's a sports card. I don't remember the details of it, but I remember there's like a regular version that's like $50. And there's like a higher tier version that's like $500, and then there's a like only 50 of them exist. They're actually signed by the athlete or whatever, and like a graded one sold for like 120K.
Yep.
And like Disney's gonna do some stuff like that. They're going to cash in on that super scarce, like the 1 of 1,000 Viscera Seer stuff.
I kind of want to get in.
Why hasn't Magic done another Viscera Seer?
I mean, Disney stuff.
It's been like a year, right?
Do what on the Magic starting to do those and the
we got our first
petitioners and
we got our first number of 100 card, and then it's been what, a year, and we haven't seen another one. Why?
Because turnaround time of that stuff is like probably greater than a year.
I would be very. I know nothing about this, but if it is true that they're releasing 1 out of 100 promo Viscera Seers or whatever over a year's long time period and not like 2 secret layer drops in a given month time period, that would be incredibly exciting to me about the long-term thinking of Wizards of the Coast, which is not something I typically am impressed by.
Especially if it's a card that has that it's, you know, people felt bad about like the Time Warp card and the Firesong and Sunspeaker because that was the only version of the card. I think if it's like a, you know, just like a weird promo version of something that is like a 10-cent card like Viscera Seer, I think people would be more into that.
Well, Corbin, I don't know if I agree with that. I don't want to wait like 6 years for all the Viscera Seers to come out before the next like cool X of 100 thing comes out. Like, I think they should do like it should be a once a year thing, like a Soul Ring and then a Kodama's Reach and then I don't know,
like I said, I haven't followed it super closely in that I don't know all the different cards that have come out. But I know that they've done the Viscera Seers, they've done the Slivers, they've done the persistent
Slivers
petitioners.
are worthless. The Slivers are completely worthless.
Well, right,
they've done Japanese promos.
They've done the persistent petitioners. The point is, they seem to have sort of some lanes, I guess.
Cass, do you mean the Yuriko or?
No, there's a series of 5 promos that are only 5,000 of them are printed each. There's like a Sarah Angel, a Sengir Vampire, a Lord of Atlantis. I don't remember the other 2. There's 5 promos, and like the Sarah Angel's like $600 because there's only 5,000 of them.
Good.
I've been seeing them on the non-English groups on Facebook. I have no idea what they're from, but I saw them today, and I was like, "There's only 5,000 of them," and that's novel, right?
That's
like,
cool.
Yeah, I guess it just depends, DJ, how much of a market you think. Like, I guess the question is, if they did it 1 out of 100, if they did 2 or 3 of those a year, would that oversaturate the market in 5 years or whatever, right? I don't. To me, I was like, oh, they're going to release the 100. I thought it was 100 in that secret layer drop. If it's 100 over the next 3 years, while they're also releasing different versions of the persistent petitioners line over that time, actually seems to me, well, maybe they have a plan for the next 3 to 5 years and then a 5 to 10 year plan for how they're going to do this. They're not just going to bleed it dry over the next 12 months or whatever. That was my thought process on it. I don't know that you're wrong. I don't have any idea what the sort of the correct frequency is.
Well, let's do some quick math to figure it out. So you talk about like market saturation, right? That's quantified by the amount of dollars people are willing to spend on this sort of thing. So let's say there was 100 of the Viscera Seers, right?
I think so.
And let's say like the average one given, you know, like number 1, number, you know, 100 are probably worth more. So they're all worth about $3,000 on average. So that's like $300,000. The secret layers they came were like $35. That's only like 900 secret layers worth of money spent on all of the Viscera Seers ever. Not counting the ones that get open and held on to. Like, that's not that much market share being attributed to these super scarce things.
True. That's true. And I mean, I guess we also, you know, I haven't looked into this, but I don't know how many of them are coming up on the market regularly either. I haven't lived, I don't know what the experience if you're actually someone who wants one, what it's like to try to get one of those, you know?
I feel like it's one of those, they previously have sold for around $2,000 with the good number selling for like 3 to 4.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was offered a number, a very particular number that I wanted at 5,000. I turned it down because I thought it was too much. So it's one of those things where you have to kind of like compare it to, is this thing as cool as half of a Black Lotus, right?
Yeah.
It's certainly different.
I don't think I'd pay $2,500 for half a Black Lotus.
Well, I went and looked. There are no listings of the Viscera Seer on TCG Player right now. And obviously that means what it means, right? That's by no means the end all be all, but it does suggest that if you are someone who wants one of these and they don't come up on the market very often, you are going to pay a premium to get it because you can't just go buy one if you want one tomorrow, you know? Even if you have the money, there's going to be some work involved in getting them because there's so few of them. So yeah, it'll be cool. It'll be cool to see it play out. This is obviously, we talked like the Hidetsugu is another one. You know, like I just don't know how, I just don't want them to go too hard with it. Right. We saw them play out masterpieces really quickly. But I don't know. It's interesting for sure. And Lorecana is going to be coming up. And Disney, you can hire me. Just saying.
Oh, I just realized I did my math wrong. It's like 9,000 secret layers, not 900. The point still stands.
I'm glad you could do the math. I can't do that math in my head. I was just trusting you. I can't. I'd have to put that one on paper. But yeah, that's a great way to look at it, though, right? That the idea of, you know, looking at it in that sense, it really allows you to start coming up with some answers besides just, I don't know. Great. All right. Well, let's move on then before we get to our picks of the week. We want to give a shout out to Coalesce Apparel. Now, you might see, I'm not going to say the sweatshirt Cass is wearing. That's a different one. But Jason has on a BSB shirt, courtesy of Coalesce Apparel, where you can get all of your favorite content creators' merch, whether that's us, whether that is Casual Magic, whether that is Caleb Durward. There are plenty of options available at Coalesce Apparel. You can use the gift code Brainstorm Brewery to get 10% off anything on the store. Again, we want you to support us. Please do. But you can also go support your other favorite content creators there as well.
So, let's do some quick math here. If
little back of the napkin, yeah.
Yeah. Let's say there's like 50 different shirts on Coalesce. There's probably way more than that. They're roughly like $30 a piece. That's like $1,500 on shirts. If you use the Brainstorm Brewery gift code, the gift code doesn't have a cap on the amount of money you save.
Nope.
So you could get 2 of each shirt. That's $3,000. Our gift code is literally just $300 in your pocket.
That's
an insane value just for typing in a code.
You know, his math checks out, I have to say.
You know, they say that all shirts are created equal, but you look at what I'm wearing and you look at Coalesce Apparel and Design, and you can see that statement is not true. See, normally, if you match one shirt with another, you got a 50-50 chance of one being better than the other.
Okay, I knew this.
Yep.
I smelled the lead-in for that a mile away.
And I realized I was going to say, those of you who want to know what we're talking about, you need to go to youtube.com/Brainstorm Brewery, watch this cast in video form. However, I'm not sure if we actually have cast set up for video yet. So maybe you'll just have to just imagine what the sweatshirt says. How about that?
Real quick shout out to Coalesce. Their new Okiba shirt goes so hard.
Yeah,
love it. All right. Speaking of spending money to make money, look at these perfect transitions. It's time for Pick of the Week.
Pick of the week, pick of the week, pick of the week. Time for the pick of the week.
It's not a perfect transition if you point out it's a good transition.
It's a perfect transition, Jason, and that's
It's
just
working
really
for
all
me.
there is to it. Yeah. Whether or not, yeah, that's right.
I went
Now look.
first. I went first last time, so I'm gonna go first again and run it back.
All right, let's hear it.
This pick has already doubled since its release three or 4 months ago. I think it still has more room to grow. Herald's Horn is perennially one of just the best tribal cards that every deck will run. If your deck says creature type on it, if you're all tribal horses, you need a Herald's Horn. If you're all tribal root wallas or what, I don't even know if that's a creature type, but
It's lizard.
okay, thank you. But Herald's Horn is a color. It's like Coat of Arms, where it always sells well. I sell these all the time. It got a reprint in Commander Legends Battle for Baldur's Gate. Its only other 2 reprints were in Jumpstart and Mystery Booster, so it keeps getting hit, but it continues to climb back up every time. When it came out in CLBFBG, that's what that set's name is. When it came out from that set, it was like $4, $5. It's up to 10 now, and it's still going up, and it's going up because it sells out, because I have to keep paying more every time I want to get them in stock. I think this is probably 15. It's not something you buy like a giant brick of. It's something where if you are planning on building another tribal deck, you get the one that you want now.
I didn't realize this card was so much.
It's just a whack-a-mole. Like, every time this card gets printed, it goes from like 15 down to 10, and then it climbs back up.
Yeah. I would have, if you had asked me without knowing anything, I would have said this was like a $3 to $5 card, because I just know it's like an uncommon pick. But yeah, you're right. It's climbed back up to 10, and it was never even that low. This card's lit. Herald's Horn. There you go. Okay, I'm gonna bring back a favorite of listeners out there. The standard pick of the week.
Standard is not a format.
Rotation happened. No one's paying attention.
Oh, do you have a Type 2 pick of the week?
I got a Type 2 pick of the week here, friend. And you know what? This card is good. It's from a set you love, Jason. And it's very good in Pioneer as well. That card is Graveyard Trespasser for Midnight Hunt.
Ooh.
It's a $3 card that's climbed up from $2. It's a 3-mana 3/3. It has Ward, discard a card. So if your opponent wants to target it, they have to discard a card. Enters the battlefield or attacks, exile a card from a graveyard. If it's a creature card, you drain for 1. And then on the backside, your creature is a 4/4, and it does the same thing. So this card is pretty absurd. Actually, I'm sorry, on the backside, it gets exiled too. I mean, this is just one of those pieces of graveyard hate, and it seems to be sort of the de facto piece of graveyard hate for creature-based decks, and it just beats, right? It's a 3/3 for 3 that has Ward. It's immediately going to hit something when it enters play, and then it just accumulates value every turn after that. So, yeah, Graveyard Trespasser at $3 is just going to keep climbing.
This card was a bulk rare for like 6 months.
Yeah.
Yep. You know what was never a bulk rare, and I kind of feel like a dummy for missing this at like $1? Citizen Champion is under $5, and the extended art is under 10. Those are both good prices on Citizen Champion.
What
this
set
card
was
is
that from?
fairly reprintable, but
Corbin,
I don't know.
The hint for that is in the name of the card.
The Champion?
No.
It's a Theros Beyond Death, I believe.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, it is. I'm checking. Yeah, good call, Jason. I forgot about this card as well.
Citizen is very obviously, you stupid idiot, either a place or person or thing on Theros.
Very obviously.
But
very obviously.
As a chemist, I think it should be pronounced Champ Ion. So why don't we all just say stupid?
Citizen is very core to the Theros Beyond Death lore.
No one knows
There
anything
were no
about the
core
Theros
in
Beyond
Theros.
Death.
The
My
core live
pick-
on Zendikar.
My pick.
Oh my
you
God.
finish up, Jason.
Oh, bye.
Cool.
Give me credit.
My pick is from Dominaria United. This is one of
Ooh,
those,
okay.
like, I've played with the card, and I know this card is busted, and it's going to be better
wait.
than
Can I
its
guess
price
it?
tag.
Can I guess it?
Yeah.
Is it Moss Monster?
No, God. That card's from Legends.
Yeah, DJ.
You
Dumb,
don't even pay attention,
dummy.
man. That card is from Dominaria United.
My pick is something that anyone who knows me would expect me to pick. It is Soul of Windgrace. It is a 5/4 legendary cat avatar for 1 black, red, and green, a good Jund 4-drop. When it enters the battlefield or attacks, you put a land card from a graveyard onto the battlefield tapped under your control, and then it has 3 activated abilities. The first one is green, discard a land, gain 3. 1 and a red, discard a land, draw a card. And the last one is 2 and a black, discard a land, it gains indestructible, and tap it. This card's just like kind of 60% of 4-color Omnath on rate. Like in Modern, it can get back like an Urza Saga. Even just getting back like a fetch land with Lotus Cobra and Pioneer is pretty busted.
Lord Windgrace is the number 47 most built EDH deck of the last 2 years, according to EDH Rec.
Yeah, it just remains popular.
Yeah. And this is also like a mythic. Right now it's like $5. I think with actual release it's going to drop a little bit. Yeah. Like if this card ever hits like $2 or $3, I am buying a bunch of them because it is so good.
This card just gives me Uro vibes.
Yeah. And that's super achievable because you look at something like Orvar that was very popular and built a ton from a set like Kaldheim that didn't have a ton of money mythics, and Orvar is like $2.
Yeah.
So like I could see this hitting a couple of bucks.
Yeah.
I also think that one of the things that WotC's kind of subtly done over the last few years is adding like land dying and land discarding matter stuff to red and green. And it's also just like it's a 5/4 for 4. Like in the formats where rate matters, like Pioneer and Standard, maybe even Modern.
Yeah.
Like this card just kills people.
Yeah, I have some friends who are getting back into Magic and they want to get back into Standard of all things on Arena. So I've got some eyes. It's gonna be fun to watch Standard, right? We got Standard picks. We're talking Standard cards. Enjoy it while it lasts. It'll be dead in 2 weeks.
So for anyone who is still listening to this cast past their bedtime of 7 p.m., there used to be just Standard, Extended, and Legacy, and that was it. Those were the 3 Magic formats, believe it or not.
No, it was Type 1, Type 1.5, and Type 2.
Well, that's some like Civil War era shit. I don't go back that far.
You're both right, actually. That is old as hell. The real is, if you want to feel old, it's like, how many extended formats have you been through? And I don't mean how many different, like
Bannings?
years of... Yeah, no.
How many different ways that they organize
it? Different legal sets.
I played Mercadian Masks cards in an extended tournament. That's how old I am.
That is older than me.
There was a Pirates deck in Mercadian Masks, and it was terrible, but it was very funny.
There's a Pirates deck in Legacy still. Remember the Pirates deck?
Pirate Stompy?
Pirate Stompy, baby. A+ meme right there. It's probably going to be a real thing when Ixalan comes out next year. For those who don't know, Pirate Stompy was a fake deck.
It's a psyop.
Literally just made up by people. And then they invented lore about how they would drop out of leagues when they were 4-0.
Wasn't the CFB content crew like behind that?
No, it was like
no, but the person
Bob Wong.
It was, and then he published it on CFB, which is why you're thinking that, DJ. Yeah, but holy shit,
so
is
funny.
it hilarious? They had people going crazy over Pirate Stompy.
I'm pretty sure I bought Rashad Foot pads because of that.
You probably made money.
I probably did.
I didn't know about those cards, and then I found them. I was like, wait, these cards are kind of sweet in Commander.
Excellent.
Just start nuking people's permanent.
And they got expensive again when Beckett Brass got printed or something.
Yep.
Yeah. And it'll happen again when Ixalan
That's when Ixalan comes back around next year. Yep.
So buy your pirates now. That's a good...
Buy whatever the portal pirate is.
Andrew Merfolk.
Oh, it's like Soaring Pirate or something?
Yeah, it got to like $40 or $50. I saw one for like $40 or $50 last time around.
All right, before we get out of here this week, there is one thing we want to bring up. You've heard of 75% theory. That would be our own Jason Alt's in-depth theory about the best way to build your commander decks, such as to balance fun and blah, 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 blah. Enough of that. We're here for horseshoe theory. Cass, what does that mean?
I love how I've written a series for 8 years weekly, and Corbin just summed it all up by saying blah, blah, blah. Is that what you think of me continuing to write in this series?
Do you
It's
think
like,
he's
we
gonna
got it the first article, bud. We get it.
There's 8 years worth of content, and we have 5 minutes left on the podcast. 3 words are gonna cut it, and it's gonna be blah, blah, and blah. That's just how the cookie crumbles.
I thought it was.
Could I give
at
least, Corbin?
Clicks.
Can you
That's
give
how the
me
cookie clicks.
one non-blah word?
Oh, visionary.
That's a good
Oh,
one.
that's sweet.
Blah, visionary, blah blah. Or blah blah visionary.
Blah blah.
Both
visionary.
are equally insulting.
Yeah.
Thanks, Corbin.
You're welcome.
See, Jason needed 8 years to come up with his theory about Commander. I made mine in about 2 hours after having a big edible. The valid horseshoe theory of Commander, which I'm sure is going to come up on screen now if you're watching on YouTube, is based off of the valid horseshoe theory of consumption. One end of the horseshoe, like one of the top like stick ends, I'm going to call them because I don't know how to talk about things, is uber casual, and the other is decadence and nostalgia, and the bottom, like the ring of the horseshoe, is the blind eternities. At the top is good to play, the bottom is bad to play, and we're basically just attributing moral qualities to the different ways to play Commander and pathologizing them.
Which is not the least bit reductive, and I don't know why anybody would suggest that.
75% deck building is just barely out of the zone of tryhard. And also, the Blind Eternity's description is playing Commander for high stakes, a lawless subterfuge. Copying a stock list off of EDH Rec is the example used there.
EDH Rec doesn't even...
You know, look, if it wasn't for EDH Rec, poor Commander writers out there would have no idea how to put articles together. Am I allowed to say that?
It's a great resource. I love it. I thought there were deck lists on it when I made this meme, I'll be honest.
If EDH Rec didn't exist, there would be no Commander writers.
So my only feedback on this is that I think EDH Rec should have been in the exact spot that gas station beef jerky is, just because that...
What does that mean?
Isn't Post Malone in that spot?
Oh, your boy Posty.
Posty could have defined the zone of... It would be called the Postma Zone if he'd beaten that guy.
Oh, no, it's not. What is that?
Border only format.
That is the gas station beef jerky of Commander.
New tagline right there, Jason. Amazing. Well, on that note, everybody, whether you started at the bottom of the horseshoe or the top of the horseshoe, we're glad you went in circles with us tonight. Thanks for listening to Brainstorm Brewery, everybody. We'll see you next week.